my screen. Hope everybody can hear me. Hello and welcome to West Virginia's Undergraduate Research Day at the Capitol 2021. My name is Sydney Philpott. I am from Concord University in Athens, West Virginia, and here today to present my project titled Stigmas Associated with Seeking Mental Health Services in a Collegiate Athletic Population. Enjoy. So let's first start with the definition of mental health. Mental health has many different components, i.e., our social, emotional, and psychological, that all play a different or a huge role in managing day to day stressors in our bodies. Mental health is a step by step process. Mental health is not just something we can solve overnight. Improving mental health ensures having some good days, manageable bad days, and some days as if feeling is nothing is just going right anymore. But one thing is for sure, you cannot give up. The definition of mental health states that mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps how we determine our it also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through adulthood. So let's talk a little bit about my research. My initial question stated that do collegiate athletes avoid seeking mental health services based on stigmas or preconceived thoughts? Some of the methods that I include in my research project were it was a quantitative research study. Some of the inclusion criteria had three, but it's one is not listed. So you had to be a college athlete. You were in the age range of 18 to 23 years old. And I didn't really exclude anybody that had previous treatments by mental health services. I used Qualtrics to administer the study as well as gather some data. I used the BASE survey or Barriers to Access to Care Evaluation Scale. This survey instrument utilized asking questions that were easily understandable, thereby decreasing chances of misunderstanding. Excuse me. Let's talk about the prevalence of mental health. So, these are just a few studies conducted by different authors explaining the prevalence or commonness of mental health topics in the collegiate population. So, let's, for example, first look at the first one. A study by Murray in 1997 discovered an even more alarming fact is that college students tend to avoid seeking out available counseling. So the percentage of student athletes who may actually require such intervention is possibly higher than this figure. Let me adjust my screen. So here what you're looking at is just the base survey that I utilized. All of the components that you're looking at are based off the question, have any of these issues ever stopped, delayed, or discouraged you from getting or continuing with professional care for a mental health problem? On the left, you're looking from questions 1 through 30 that measure the stigmas and barriers. Top right, you're looking at the ratings starting from left to right, rating not at all, a little, quite a lot, or a lot. And on the right is just a scale or the numbers that are being scaled on a 0 to 3. My mouse. Let me adjust my screen. So I had 27 total participants participate in my research project out of the 135 that I sent my project to, which only made a 20% response rate. Out of those 27 that participated in my study, only 17 were female and only 10 were male. It resided more heavily on the female side with 62.96% and lesser on the male side at 37.04%. Out of the sports teams that participated, an even balance between men's cross country track and field and women's cross country track and field, with their both being 37.04%, and women's soccer coming in third at 25.93%. So these couple next slides are the positive impact of receiving mental health services by two NBA players, Kevin Love and DeMar DeRozan. So let's talk about the analysis of my data from my mental health survey. So here you're looking at the chart gathered basically from the data. So the chart demonstrates the data collected. The total numbers represent each participant responding to a specific stigma or barrier that affects them from seeking mental health services. So for example, let's look at the yellow line. The yellow line represents the number of participants that responded a lot to the barriers that affect them from seeking or receiving mental health services. So as demonstrated by the graph before this slide, these are the top barriers that the participants felt that discouraged them from receiving help from mental health services. These barriers, or stigmas, are rated from highest to lowest. So now we come back to the ultimate question, my research question. Do collegiate athletes avoid seeking mental health services based on stigmas or preconceived thoughts? The initial research question was answered by the mental health survey. Yes, thereby verifying that stigmas or barriers do play a significant role in a collegiate athlete's decision to seek mental health services. These are just a couple potential implications of research. But for a potential implication of research, I think that college athletics should really focus on the mental health education of their athletes by helping them just understand that mental health symptoms are not personal failings or seen as any weakness of any kind and will not often get better without some sort of treatment. Unfortunately, there were some barriers in this study. The research was conducted at a small rural public college or university in an economically depressed area. So, therefore, if conducted in a more urban area, results could be considerably different. There were no high contact sports participants, male or female, that participated in the study. The results, when separated by gender, were inconclusive. Coming to a conclusion, with the study conducted, a sizable portion of athletes have reported having concerns with seeking mental health services. And with the limited research, unfortunately, with the limited research, there needs to be a further study destigmatizing mental health services. Here's just a little bit of my references that I had utilized throughout the PowerPoints. Any questions? So, on a closing note, I just want to have everybody remember that your mental health is just what you make of it. Take it step by step, day by day, and know that your destination or your goal is still going to be there when you arrive. So, thank you for your time and have a good night or good day, depending on when you're viewing this. Thank you.